So, welcome to Coffee and Coaching Conversations, Love and Dating. And this is our third episode in our three-part series when you will helpfully learn all about our stories. So, Cindyann was the first episode, I was the second episode, and now it is Abby's turn. So, Cindyann and myself will ask Abby a series of questions so we can find out all about her personal story. So let's start off with Abby. Can you tell us a little bit about your dating life?
Hey, oh my gosh. I feel like there is a lot to tell. I could start off a little bit with um a snippet of where I came, where I started off and where I am right now, I guess. So one thing that many people have heard me say in previous recordings is that I started off completely single mom, after, a failed relationship with my daughter's biological father. And I was single for the majority of her life. I would date and have relationships that just didn't work. And, um, they would sort of end to varying degrees, with varying degrees of heartbreak. But it was always sort of the same story that I came to realize had a lot to do with my own emotional unavailability. But it just felt like I kept having the same patterns over and over and over again. And, when I was finally able to like break through those things, I ended up coming, through a relatively like a huge journey to finding myself capable of having a relationship where I'm now engaged and, just recently moved in as well with my fiance. And, we're able to have this really wonderful life together now. But it, certainly wasn't always like that. But yeah, so now it feels really beautiful. And I've learned so many new things about how to connect and interact in a relationship. So, oh,
I'm so glad that you just said that because when I hear you say that, I think, wow, but how? How did Abby get there? Like, what was her turning point? And what led you to do this work for yourself? And why is it that you are where you are today and in such a successful relationship where it took you, into your 40s with your daughter being 13 years old, and now she gets to share in you having a romantic love, and all three of you having this like really lovely new family now. And so let's hear a
yeah.
little bit of how you got there.
Yeah, how that happened. So honestly, it actually started with a specific like this particular relationship, and I can remember what how it ended and what was, said. So I had a relationship with someone where I was at this stage in my singlehood where I was almost like desperate to be in a relationship because I wanted or to get married. I was like, I really want to get married and I'm just going to make this happen. I'm getting old and my daughter's getting older and this isn't the kind of experience I wanted to have. I never wanted to be a single mom and, do it this way, and I really kind of went about it in all the worst ways, I was trying to sort of make this relationship be what I wanted it to be because I wanted to get married.
And
And
in the worst ways would be in the masculine, forcing it,
yeah,
trying to make it happen, telling yourself that you're done with singlehood. I mean, I know
right.
I was exactly in the same position. So, but it is good for us to name those things to
Yeah.
our audience.
And I didn't
Yeah.
even pushing this person that I'd gotten into a relationship with, away. I was doing the opposite. And he actually said to me, he goes,
Mm.
honestly, I'm not sure if you actually like me. And I'm not sure if you actually love me and want to be with me. It sometimes feels like you just want to get married. And I don't actually know who you are. He said something to the effect of like, I'm not sure I actually know who you are. And it struck me so deeply. And I was just like, I mean, literally, so our relationship ended. You know, it was like kind of after it was all head was in pieces by that point. And I remember thinking, wow, nobody's ever, it was so new, and it just struck me. And I was like, I'm doing something really, really, I'm doing this all wrong. Like up until that point, I thought that I was sort of like doing okay because I could meet guys pretty easily. But
Exactly.
it turned out not, and that sent me on this whole, like, it was like full steam ahead. I'm doing all this research, and I ended up coming across a coach. It's all, so you know, all three of us can relate to. And so, and being like, I want to fix this. She seemed to be so different, and she was so warm and so open, and I felt drawn in, right, to this different person. But she was like strong, you know, she didn't seem like somebody who would just sort of let people walk over her. And I just wanted to be like that. And I remember it being tremendous, you know. And I might be answering a different question if I dive too far into that, but you know, sort of the process of it. But um that was it. It was like that relationship that was so awful. Just you know,
Turning point. Yes.
that was my turning point.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. But no, come on, tell us. What was it that you did? We want to know.
yeah, and so with this coach, I mean, it started off for me. We did, honestly, as I think both of you could relate, with your stories, is that it started off with me. I thought she was gonna like give me the right words to say and tell me what to do and stuff, and how to change up my look or something, or what it was that I needed to do to make them, you know, make a guy want to, you know, marry me, or make a guy want to, you know, something like how to get him to do this. And I came to see through that process with working with a coach that it was about me. You know, it became this massively transformative experience where I was capable. I learned just how deeply I was protecting myself and not letting myself be vulnerable, because I was just so afraid. So I ended up becoming this really hard
Mhm.
person who was not capable of saying how I felt, really. You know, I couldn't express my feelings. And I didn't even realize that it was so difficult. So I just did a lot of work, honestly, with that coach. And I mean, it was kind of, I, I can't describe how raw it felt at the time. I didn't realize how much I needed it until I had it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, it was that, it was this sort of inner shift. And then, you know, when I finally made the shift, it was sort of like night and day, you know, what my experience was like. But it started
Mhm.
with me. It didn't really start with me learning how to say the right phrases and send the right texts or something like that, and you know, do it all those things, and then this guy is just gonna, you know, come. But I had to change. So
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think the three of us can, the cindyann and I can also relate to that.
Exactly. So much.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And
So
then,
that's how I'd answer that question. Oh, go ahead, Cynthia.
Emma, do
Oh,
Okay.
you? Yes.
So, what would you tell someone who is wanting to find what you have found?
well, I would honestly say it's tricky because I had the experience my own way, and I'm not sure I could have done it differently. So in my experience, knowing who I was, I swear I feel like I was just the hardest kid ever, you know? I do. And I think one of the reasons I do this work is because I know how much I needed it. I'm convinced that, you know, I couldn't have done it simply by watching enough videos, maybe reading some books about it, and having a good friend to talk to. Like, I actually think I really needed somebody. I needed a professional. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I'd say, you know, I'd say, you know, just try it out. I mean, many coaches have different, you know, different offerings. You may not necessarily meet one-on-one. You may there's workshops, there's all kinds of fun, like really, we offer things as well. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of great things out there. And the nice thing about having a coach is you have someone whose sole purpose, they're committed to to helping you get to where you want to go,
Mhm.
so I know sometimes with friendships, and I have dear friends who I love so much, and I know that they have my best interest in mind. We're good friends to each other, but you know, it can sometimes happen where your friends, even without realizing it, cannot have, they might give you advice based on their own wounding, or something like that. And you
Yes.
just want to find somebody who yeah, exactly, who you can trust, you know, not only what has your best interest in mind, but kind of has a lot of, experience, and a lot of, really
Training.
training and know-how, yeah, to get you there. So that's what I would say personally is know that you want it. And I think cindyann, you mentioned it, at some point you have to really, really want it, and you have to be willing to do kind of whatever it takes for you. And there's a little voice inside that oftentimes knows. It knows whether you're actually you're actually willing
Mhm.
and ready to do what it is that you say you want to do. So I think it's sort of those two things: is you got to be willing and able, and you gotta kind of invest in it, invest in yourself enough to
Mhm.
say, I can do this, I want this, and this is for me. So
Mhm.
that's kind of my shift. That was my big shift in, attitude when I'm doing this for me. I'm gonna, you know, do what works and what I know I need to do. So yeah.
Abby,
Right.
your story is so beautiful. I just can't believe it. It's just so great. And yes, it is. It just does not seem right. And because it wasn't right for me either, because I was like, why do I want a relationship? But what I'm doing is investing in me. It felt so backwards to me to think I have to invest in me to get a healthy relationship. That seems bizarre. What I need to do is get healthy men coming at me so that then I can have a healthy relationship. But we attract what we are. So we make ourselves healthier, secure, balanced, whole, and then we subtract that secure, balanced, whole man. Okay. So, Abby, thank you so much for your story. And here we are, coffee coaching and conversations, love and dating, everything you've ever wanted to know. This was Ching Ching, part 3 of our 3-part series on our personal stories. We hope you enjoyed it and we wish you well. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Adios.